Alright guys, we've all heard the story of the three little pigs, right? How about the true story of the three little pigs? After reading this story, I want you to compare and contrast. Remember our Venn diagrams, the two circles that go together? Tell me what was the same and different about the story you've heard before and this new story, the true story of the three little pigs. Let's get started. We can tell by the cover. Who do you think is telling this story? The wolf. So this is the true story of the three little pigs as told by John Sieska and illustrated by Lane Smith. Everybody knows the story of the three little pigs, or at least they think they do. But nobody knows the real story, because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. Whose side of the story do you think we're going to hear today? I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf, but you can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. On the way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny, and I had a terrible sneezing cold. Plus, I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street and to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. This neighbor was a pig. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house out of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, I fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into somebody else's house. So I called, "Little pig, little pig," but no answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. But that's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on, so I huffed and I snuffed. Make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen next? And I sneezed a great sneeze. How is this different from the story we know? And you know what? The whole straw house fell down. And right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He'd been home the whole time. Seemed ashamed to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw. So I ate him up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar. So I went to the next neighbor's house. The neighbor was First Little Pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I just grabbed the doorknob, and when I felt another sneeze coming on, I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but the sneeze was a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it. But this guy's house fell down too, just like his brother's. And when the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor, I didn't do it. Now you know how food will spoil if you just leave it out there in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family, 'cause he built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in? And do you know what that rude little pig said? Get out of here, Wolf. Don't bother me again. Sounds like somebody might be a little bit worried, scared, angry. How do you think the characters are feeling? Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cough coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again, and the third little pig yelled, and your old granny can't sit on a pin. Who sounds like the mean person in this story? Is it the wolf or the pig? Uh-oh. There we go. How is this story the same or different from the story we've read before? In the first story, who was the bad guy, the wolf or the pigs? And in this story, who seems like the bad guy, the wolf or the pigs? Now usually, I'm a pretty calm fella, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down the pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. And that's it. As they say, the rest is history. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner, and they figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff blow your house down, and they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. Now what do you think? Do you think this is the true story? Or do you like the original story better? Tell me what you think, and don't forget about those Venn diagrams to compare and contrast the two stories.